Hello, today we are going to install and take a quick look at the new Linux operating system from the KDE community, which is called KDE Linux. This was codenamed Project Banana before. This is an immutable operating system. It will have multiple editions similar to the KDE Neon operating system. It's created on a GitLab CI pipeline. The base operating system is Arch Linux. Uses systemd boot instead of grub. btrfs as the file system. Read-only base system. AB style image updates. Graphical user interface applications should come from Flatpak. And the base KDE Plasma 6 and its dependencies and minimal applications will be shipped based on the different editions. There will be different versions from KDE Git branches where the KDE Plasma 6 and minimum KDE Plasma applications will be built from. So depending on the KDE Linux edition, the KDE Plasma will be built from different source code. Okay, we have instructions on how to install. You can install it on a hardware computer. You look at the downloads location. In here, we're going to look at the files from today, the newest files. So that's 03, I know, UTC, what the time zone of this server is, and then today's date. So these are the possible files. We're only interested into the largest file in here, which is in this case 11 gigabytes, the raw file. This thing you need to download, which I have already downloaded. And then you can write it to a USB stick, a USB boot drive using DD. And then you make sure that your computer's UEFI BIOS allows to boot from USB. Reboot your computer and boot into the USB stick. It will boot in live CD mode, and then you will be greeted with a KDE Plasma 6 desktop. If you don't want to install on a hardware computer, on a laptop or a desktop computer, you can use a virtual machine. We have instructions for the virtualization software Virt Manager. We're actually going to follow these instructions. So I have Virt Manager, Virtual Machine Manager. This is a software that you can install on Linux operating systems. Let's go with the instructions. File, new virtual machine, import existing disk image, forward, browse, you go refresh in here. So this is the raw file. Choose. As the operating system you are installing, we should select Arch Linux because there's the most similarity between vanilla Arch Linux and this operating system. Forward. Let's make this virtual machine have a ton of resources. As name, I'm going to use KDE Linux. Customize, finish. And now let's continue with the instructions. So I have set the resources, which is CPU and random access memory. it says that when the virtual machine configuration window is shown, which is it is, we should go to Overview, Firmware, select not BIOS but UEFI from this combo box, apply. On the bottom left, there's the button Add Hardware, this guy. Adds a virtual hard disk for the machine, 200 gigabytes. Type VirtIO, finish. It's creating the QCOW image. So now we have two storage devices for the virtual machine. The first one is 11 gigabytes the raw file. The second one is 200 gigabytes. Here we will install the Linux operating system. And this is it. We're ready for starting the installation. So begin installation. It refuses to boot because it cannot boot in UEFI secure boot mode. So we need to disable that. We're at this step in the instructions where it says no bootable option or device found, which is this thing. BDS DXE error, no bootable option or device was found. So we need to press the enter key, which will start the UEFI text user interface. In here, we should disable secure boot. The only three possibilities are boot maintenance manager, boot manager, and device manager. So device manager. Secure boot configuration. This thing cannot be changed. Current secure boot state. This can be changed. Attempt secure boot. This is after you restart the computer. The UEFI will boot with secure boot enabled. Or if you press the space key and then that was it. So space to disable this checkbox, attempt secure boot. Then we want to save, which is F10, Y to confirm, and then we're going to reboot the computer. So says escape SESC to exit in here. So escape once, press escape to exit, and then we select the option reset. Now we're greeted with systemd bootloader. It boots in live CD mode by default. Okay, this is running in live CD mode. We're inside KDE Plasma 6. This is the application welcome center, which runs by default. We should install the operating system to the 200 gigabytes of virtual machine storage. We can start the installer either from here, where it says launch install system now, when I'm hovering on top of this icon. So if I click once, or if I do double click on the desktop, or I can use the start menu system and then install system. It's using the Calamares Linux installer framework. Let's make this larger. Next, next, next. And in here, we don't want to install into the live CD storage. We want to install to the 200 gigabytes virtual machine storage, which is /dev/vdb. We go erase disk. The correct branding is KDE Linux, but you will still encounter the older branding, which is KDE OS or Banana. The branding will be changed in time. So erase disk. It will create a BTRFS 196 gigabytes partition and the EF5 4 gigabytes FAT32 partition. So 2 partitions. Next. Your name. Name of the computer. Password. And install. We can look at the progress if we want by clicking on the button toggle log, which is located at the bottom right. We can see BTRFS action. We can see sub volumes. Z standard compression. Two partitions, one for ESP UEFI / EFI mount, and then KDOS /dev/vdb to BTRFS for the /. We'll be back once the installer finishes. The Calamares installer has finished installing the operating system. Now we want to shut down, not reboot. So you can either uncheck this and shut down from here, or you can leave it in here, go done. It will restart the computer, and then at the correct time you shut down the virtual machine. It's still shutting down, and now you need to stop it. Otherwise, it will boot from in live CD mode from the raw image again, which is not what we want. So we still have two storages for the virtual machine. We have VirtIO disk 1, which is the raw file, and we have VirtIO disk 2, 200 gigabytes, where we just installed the KDE Linux operating system. We don't need the raw anymore. We don't want to boot in live CD mode. So we go right click on VirtIO disk 1, remove hardware, and delete. And now VirtIO disk 2 was renamed to VirtIO disk 1. And VirtIO disk 1 is 200 gigabytes BTRFS KDE Linux. And in boot options, we can see that it's booting from the correct device, which is VirtIO disk 1, which is again 200 gigabytes. Just by deleting VirtIO disk 1, which contains the raw image, as it's shown in here, everything else works correctly. So VirtIO 2 is renamed to VirtIO disk 1, and it will boot from the correct disk, from the 200 gigabyte one. And that's it. We can start the virtual machine. So everything is stretched right now because I entered in full screen mode. We should actually exit full screen mode, if I know how to do that. Let's look a bit again at the specifications. So says created automatically by GitLab CI. What you saw up until now, which is the operating system that has booted with the various Linux operating system libraries that sit beneath the Qt 6 framework and below the KDE source code, KDE frameworks version 6, KDE Plasma, and KDE applications are Arch Linux packages. You cannot use the package manager in the underlying for the underlying Arch packages because it's an immutable read-only /usr. btrfs is the file system. There's a recovery partition, AB partitioning in here. There's rollback functionality. For instance, if you install an update, you can reboot the computer, and in systemd boot, which is the boot loader, boot manager, boot menu, you can select to not boot into the newest version of the operating system, but into the penultimate version of the operating system. Systemd sysxt is for an overlay over /usr. For instance, it can be used for developing. Also for developing, you can use virtual containerization technologies such as DistroBox. Hopefully you can also use QEMU and a graphical user interface wrapper on top of QEMU for creating and managing virtual machines. You install graphical user interface applications from Flatpak. The plan is to also have the snap store and snapd installed by default. Wayland by default. There's encryption for /home by default. Automatic backup for /home by default using btrfs snapshots. Maybe not all of these proposed features have been implemented yet or are working perfectly yet, but this is the target that the KDE Linux operating system is heading towards. Systemd sysxt can be used to overlay developer content on top of /usr. For instance, you can build software using KDE Builder, which is the KDE build framework which allows you to build KDE Git repositories on Linux operating system. Can be used in order to install software straight to /usr, but you're not actually installing to /usr, you're installing to ~/kd/usr, and this thing ~/kd is then using systemd sysxt overlaid on top of /. Okay, again, this is the early stages of the KDE Linux project. The branding KDE Linux is fresh. The project has been incubated very recently into the KDE project, so expect anything when you boot a raw file and you play around with the KDE Linux operating system. Maybe it works for you, maybe not. It's in a very early stage of development. does not represent the final version of the product. Okay, so we have booted into the operating system. Let's see what we can do with it. KDE Plasma Welcome Center application. Let's see if we click on a link, something happens. So single click. It should show a busy cursor or something. Okay, so the application Mozilla Firefox has started for the first time. That's it. This is why we see this page. Then we have clicked inside the Welcome Center application on this link, learn more about KDE community, which goes to this KDE wiki page, which it did. It started the Mozilla Firefox web browser, navigated to the correct page. The fonts are not that great, at least for the headings, for the chapter titles. Graphical user interface applications will not come from Arch packages if they're part of the KDE community, such as the Welcome Center application will be built from source, currently using KDE Builder. So we're using KDE Builder, depending on the KDE Linux edition. We'll build from KDE Git repositories, KDE software, but from different Git branches, Git tags, Git commits, depending again on the KDE Linux edition. So KDE software is built from source. Graphical user interface software that's not part of the KDE community, such as Mozilla Firefox, is installed from Flatpaks. And then underneath it all, underneath Flatpak, underneath KDE Frameworks version 6, there will be many Arch Linux packages. Let's actually list the number of Arch Linux packages. Google search works okay in the web browser Mozilla Firefox installed from flathub. Let's see if we can list packages. How do we do that? Show all or most information about a package. So it should be pacman -q, and I guess pacman is not available. Let's confirm that. Hopefully we have a terminal available here. We have console. Let's make it a favorite. So right click on console and add to favorites. Then from the KDE Plasma start menu, we have console available. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, we have it. How do we do that? Okay, so it says that 1177 apt packages have been installed on this operating system. There's Xorg, the X libraries, Vulkan, the application Vert Manager for a virtualization software, Vim for the command line text editor, sudo, many libraries needed by Qt 6 and by KDE frameworks. some Qt 5 libraries, different programming languages, Python modules, Perl modules, PCRE, Opus audio codec, Pango font library, PAM security library, Ninja GNU Make alternative, Noto fonts, MLT library, MPV media player, the GNU toolchain, M4, a ton of libraries, X libraries, Pulse audio, and these KDE banana packages. So these packages again are represent the running and existing KDE Plasma 6 desktop and its minimal libraries, applications, everything. So what's pre-installed into the KDE Linux operating system by default and comes from the KDE community has been built using, has been converted to package build files using KDE Builder. So the Qt 6 comes from Arch packages, but the KDE source code was built from source, especially for this version of the raw file and for this edition of KDE Linux. So each time the CI pipeline, continuous integration GitLab pipeline runs, we'll create at least one raw file. Probably it will create more, but one will be one for a given edition and for a given timestamp for the KDE Git repositories. KDE banana minus is a prefix. Wayland is actually built using KDE src minus build because KDE minus builder because it's dependency of Wayland protocols, and Wayland protocols is needed by the testing, graphical user interface testing framework that we use. Plasma modules, Plasma Git repositories, theming, Oxygen, Ocean, Phonon audio video framework, which uses as backend VLC, the media player. There's many libraries such as KeyPipewire and other KDE frameworks version 6. The window manager KWin, the one responsible for the fact that you can move windows around for this menu, for this icon, for this title bar. Many libraries. K-menu edit, which is this application. If you right click on the KDE Plasma start menu, edit applications. KDE menu editor. I don't see any applications yet. Discover the App Store. This must be pre-installed because you need access to flathub by default, in order to be able to install graphical user interface applications. And that means both from outside the KDE community, such as maybe you want a second web browser, a Chromium-based web browser from FlatHub, but also KDE applications, which are not the immediate intimate core of KDE Plasma 6 and its minimum libraries and applications, should also be installed from FlatHub. Breeze is themes. So I didn't see console in here. So just two applications. This thing, Selenium WebDriver AT SPI is the graphical user interface testing framework. Solid is a spell checking KDE framework. No, Sonnet is a spell checking, and Solid is a hardware listing framework. Spectacle is the screenshotting tool. If you press print screen key, it will start. Okay, let's see what else there is. What just happened? Adwaita theme, ALSA, spelling libraries, Archbase, Bash, GNU toolchain, Bluetooth, bubble wrap security, CMake, the printing framework, dbus, FFmpeg, the multimedia library, Flatpak and Flatpak builder, Fuse, FWUPD, Gamma Ray, the Qt 5 or 6 inspection tool, GNU debugger GDB, Harfbuzz, the fonts library, and then KDE banana minus. There's also the graphical user interface application partition manager. So console is installed somehow, but I'm not sure how. It doesn't seem to come from the Arch Linux packages, and also not from KDE Banana, which are the package build files which are created on the fly by the GitLab CI and which use KDE Builder in order to build KDE software from source while the GitLab CI pipeline is running. But it's available in here, so that's great. Let's look now at the Flatpak applications. Flatpak list. Now this is a very interesting and unexpected list. So GwenView, which is the image viewer, is actually installed from the KDE community, is actually installed from flathub, whereas the snapshotting tool, the screenshot tool, Spectacle, is installed from KDE Banana package build, KDE Builder, GitLab CI pipeline, Arch packages. So some of the applications which I would call core because I cannot really do anything on a system, such as a terminal console, is installed from flathub, not from Arch packages. It's interesting that such a thing is possible. So the idea is to outsource some of the KDE software towards flathub, such that the KDE Linux installation is as small as possible, is as robust as possible, as resilient as possible. The console flathub flatpak is used and tested by a ton of other Linux users and Linux distributions except KDE Linux. So it's a very well tested by real humans software package, and binary software package at that. Whereas building console from source, each time you create a raw file for KDE Linux, might not be as safe. But then you will get, you might get an older version of console. So there's a trade-off there. If even the extremely small installation of KDE Linux has some of the applications which I thought would be shipped as part of the KDE Builder package build thing, and even some of those are shipped as flatpak packages, flathub packages. And as expected, when I saw the list of Arch Linux packages, there was no Kate in there. So Kate, I can see it's again installed from flathub. They're all, the KDE applications are at the same version, 2408.2, which is a recent release of KDE applications and KDE gear. So there's the Arc zip file manager, Dolphin, wow, Dolphin being the default file manager, GwenView, the image viewer, Kate, the text editor console, kwrite as a smaller Kate, Ocular, the PDF viewer, and that's it. You also get Firefox for web browser needs, a minimum thing which you need in an immutable graphical user interface Linux operating system. There's also VLC for playing back audio and video. I also saw command line tools. There's MPV. Nope. It's interesting that Pacman says that MPV Arch Linux package has been installed and is installed on this computer, whereas MPV says that it's not found. Yeah, there will be some reason for this, because pacman minus uppercase Q lowercase l MPV, which is the way to get the files provided by a local Arch Linux package. Says that MPV is providing libmpv, which is actually needed by the KDE community, but also provides /usr/bin/mpv. But this file doesn't really exist, this one, /usr/bin/mpv. So maybe this package is installed, and then there's a script which removes some of the command line executables in order to, I'm not sure what. But a command line player mpv, the executable, if it was installed at some point, why remove it? It's a good thing to have. I do use it, mpv from the command line. Okay, so snap command line, the snap package is actually installed. Let's see if it comes from Arch Linux. How do we get back? Grep snap. So yes, snapd, snapb come from Arch Linux binary packages. Snap list says that there's no snap packages installed yet. Snap, like this. And I need to change the command line on s-classic. Interestingly, it seems to just work. So it was installed, snap was installed from Arch Linux packages, comes baked into the KDE Linux operating system. There are no snap packages pre-installed, but you just go snap install your way around. This code would be Visual Studio Code, the official application from Microsoft. Says that /snap/bin is not in your path environment variable. I've just installed a snap, so I should restart your session. Let's actually do a reboot. Let's see how reboots work. Systemd is rebooting. 4 seconds timeout in systemd boot, the bootloader, boot manager, boot menu. Systemd is starting. Oh. Let's change the computer to my liking. So that would be, I do not want this edge. I want snapping to 25% of the screen, so a quarter just with 15% of the edge. So if I go here, it should not create a quarter tiling. It should create a half tiling. Okay, I want a bigger mouse cursor. (24), the worst combo box ever. So from 24, I want to go one higher, which is 36. Okay, let's see if fonts need some tweaking. Yes, they do. Full hinting. Okay, back to where we were. Where were we? So it said that maybe just the command line code doesn't work without restarting the computer, which I actually did. So let's test prod dot. Should start Visual Studio Code in the home directory. Trust, yes. What is this? Ooh. Okay, so Visual Studio Code seems to just work. And the Snap version is actually a really good version and backed by Microsoft directly. They have extensions working and everything. Okay, and the terminal is also great. Control plus. Okay, so pleasant surprise, Snapd is installed and working perfectly out of the box. Next up, let's look at the list of applications that come pre-installed. So Visual Studio Code installed from Snap, Spectacle installed from KDE Banana, Kate and Kwrite installed from flathub, Arc from flathub, Dolphin, flathub, Discover, KDE Banana, Calamares, I'm not sure why it's in here. KDE Partition Manager, I saw it as KDE Banana. Console flathub, this is KDE Banana. This is probably Banana. This is flathub, 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 probably Banana. Both Banana. Gwenview and Ocular both flathub. Gamma Ray from Arch packages directly. Kate flathub. Visual Studio Code Snap. Incredible. Okay, next up, let's look at the KDE App Store. So the KDE App Store should have the Arch backend disabled because it doesn't work. The Arch package backend, from what I know, does not work in Discover. And it also should not allow to install random packages, random Arch packages from Arch Linux official repositories. And then the two other backends, at least flathub, should be enabled by default. And the Snap should either be enabled by default or installed but disabled, or available and easily installable. Let's actually see that. So settings says that there's LVFS. We saw this thing for installing firmware, which means UEFI. And then flathub is installed by default. Let's see if we can enable Snap backend for Discover. How do we do that? Nope. How do I do that? All applications. Yeah. I'm not sure how that is done. I guess since Discover is built from Banana, that also the Discover backend Snap should be installed from Banana. Qt 6 comes from Arch binary packages. KDE Frameworks version 6 from KDE Banana. Discover from Banana. So I'm not sure exactly what's the story on how to install snap packages in graphical user interface mode, but installing from the command line just works great. Let's see what other packages do we have there available. So I searched for Snap Store. Hopefully it takes me to the correct place. In here I would need Crusader. No such package. What about flathub? No such thing. So I'm out of luck. So I would need to build Crusader from source, which I can do either with systemd6x, or I can build in my /home directory because my home directory is read-write. Or I could use a virtualization technology, a containerization technology. Let's see. Why didn't we see Virt Manager in here? So it's available. So I could create a virtual machine, build there. What about the Docker? No such thing. What about the distro box? I'm not sure what this thing is. Distro info tool, not this one. And the other one is the Docker alternative, which is named Podman. I didn't see Podman available or any of the possible Linux containers technologies, LXD, LXC, Podman, Docker, Incus, whatever. Then let's install the rest of apps that I usually install, and this should be it. So I can see I'm still missing the GTK application meld for difference viewer. I'm missing SM player and maybe a Chromium. Chromium I know where to get from in here. So that would be snap install Chromium. Okay, where do I get the snap from? The meld from. Could be this thing. So meld I'm forced to install from flathub. Let's see if the graphical user interface install support works for flathub.org, the website. So click on install. Click on this thing. Always open, discover, install from flathub. It says that Chromium is installed. It's already pinned. Wow. To the task manager. And it starts and works correctly. And it uses the operating system's title bar, which is good. Okay, this one has succeeded, and we can just launch. Great, it works. This is it. What other tools do I need? I need the Git command line tools. How do I get those? So let's launch them one by one. Git. It's in here. Git K. No wish. So Git K is installed, but incompletely because there's no tcl sh, tcl wish. Whereas Git GUI is not installed at all. And Git, I guess, is coming from Arch packages. It's a ton of Git things here. So there's just a Git package. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to overcome this limitation not having Git K and Git GUI here. Maybe I'm supposed to do development in Linux containers when they will be start to be available in KDE Linux. And they will probably be available via DistroBox and Podman. So this is it. Very promising. KDE Linux can be installed, boots, does a ton of the things that it says it should do. Not perfect for me yet, or maybe I'm not versed into atomic read-only /USR Linux operating systems. Thank you.